snacks in the kitchen.
Hello and welcome to my kitchen. I am Chef Karen Osborne. I'm a Food for Life instructor in Austin, Texas. And in Texas these days, it is pretty warm. And one of my favorite ways to cool down is with melons. The most common melons you're going to find in your grocery store are watermelon, cantaloupe, and honeydew. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Hopefully I'll give you some tips for picking good ones and you can cool down with like sweet melon too. So the first one, watermelon, they all have vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, but they are so hydrating. Watermelon is about 92% water, cantaloupe and honeydew about 90%. But the good thing about melons is they also contain electrolytes, which helps your body use the water, so it's even better than having just a glass of water and more tasty too. So when you're looking for a watermelon, you want to pick one that is heavy for its size. You want them more round than oval. The oval ones tend to be more watery and not as sweet, so the rounder ones are sweeter. You want a matte finish instead of a shiny watermelon. I know the light is reflecting on here and it looks pretty shiny, but actually it's not as shiny as it looks. And if it's really, really shiny, it means it was picked before it was really ripe. The other thing you want to look for is the field spot on the bottom. So this is where the watermelon was sitting on the ground. So this says that it was ripened on the vine. Some of them are just green all the way around, and so that means it was picked before it was really, really ripe. And then the field spot you want to be the deepest yellow that you can find. The pale, creamy off-white or pale yellow is not going to be as sweet as the deep yellow. And then you want to look for these, I don't know if you can see it, the veins or webbing in here. You might think it's just not such a beautiful watermelon, but you want these. So it's where the bees pollinated the flower and damaged the membrane. So the more pollination, the sweeter the fruit. And then you can look for a hollow sound, and also the stem end you want to be dry and yellowy brown. If it's green, it was picked too soon. Did you ever wonder why putting salt on watermelon makes it taste sweeter? It's because the fruit is made up of water, sugar, and these fibers. When you put salt on the surface, it pulls the water up to the surface of the fruit. Along with it comes the sugars. And also, there's more of a contrast on your tongue between the salt and the sweetness of the fruit. So it makes it taste sweeter. And the next melon that we are going to talk about is cantaloupe. So cantaloupe, you also want one heavy for its size, nice and round. You want them to be tan. They're losing their green. If it's green, it's not ripe. And then you have the webbing, which is raised from the fruit. If it's flat against the fruit, it's not ripe yet. You want the stem end, you want it to give a little bit, and you want it to smell like cantaloupe. This one smells really, really good. And then you want that stem end to be indented instead of sticking out. If it's sticking out, it means it was picked too soon. So another thing about the webbing, it can trap bacteria. So the other fruits I just washed, they're nice and smooth. You never know what's on your fruit from being picked or being in transit or being handled in the grocery store, so just wash them. But the cantaloupe this webbing can trap bacteria, and the cantaloupe doesn't produce bacteria, but if it's grown somewhere near an animal farm or a ranch, the runoff can have bacteria that gets trapped in here. So just scrub it with a potato brush so I don't drag the bacteria into the flesh when I cut it. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is honeydew. And honeydew ripens slower later in the season. So I wasn't able to go and choose one. I ordered this in my Imperfect Foods box. It was in from Mexico, but if you want to look for a round, heavy for the size, it gives a little bit, it's firm. The stem should be dry and indented. This one is picked too soon. You want to look at the blossom end. It should give a little, this one does not. It should also smell a little bit like honeydew. It's not going to smell as much as the cantaloupe, but this one doesn't smell at all. You want it to be losing its greenness. You want it to be white, off-white or pale yellow. Yeah, the stem's not shrunken. You want a waxy feel. If it's velvety, it's not ripe yet. And then a hollow sound. And also with the honeydew, you could shake it, and if you hear the seeds and the flesh rattling around, you know it's ripe. So there's some tips for picking good melons. There's tons of ways you can cut. No right or wrong way to cut them, but I'm just going to show you a couple of things. Just aim this down at my cutting board. So of course you can cut them all into wedges, or you can use a melon baller. But one thing I'm going to do is just cut off the end, well, both ends of my watermelon. So I like to leave some of the green on. It's not as sweet as the red part, but it's really nutritious. It has citrulline, which is an amino acid that actually helps your body make nitric oxide, which helps dilate and relax your blood vessels, leading to lower blood pressure. So I'm going to leave it on, but it's your choice. You can just cut it all off. That's up to you. I'm just going to leave some on. So I'm just going to go down and shave off most of the rind. And leave some of that green on for me. And then you can slice it into bite-sized pieces. It smells so good. Right. So you could stack these or whatever, but just slice it into the size that you want and use them in a salad or eat them like that. Another thing, you can slice them into wedges. I'm going to slice this cantaloupe in half. This is just one way you can cut the cantaloupe. It also smells yummy. And then just take a spoon and the seeds come out easily. And then I'm just going to cut the cantaloupe into quarters. This is a huge one. It smells so good. So then you can either eat it like this, you can just slice it through. So if you want to eat it like that, you don't get your hair and your cheeks into the cantaloupe, or you can slice chunks and eat it with a fork. So there you have some tips for picking a good melon. Hope you can find a lot of good sweet melons this summer. Enjoy.